Hello, I'm Juan Davies, Chief Creative Officer at KCET and PBS SoCal, and I'm joined by the newsroom of KPCC and LAist on a daily reporter roundup. It has been nearly 2 years since LA launched an ambitious program to move homeless people off the street. It was supposed to work like this. The person would move into a temporary shelter, get connected with the help they needed, and then within a few months, move on to permanent housing, opening the bed for somebody else to get help. Matt, you took a hard look at what has actually happened in the last 2 years.
Yeah, so Los Angeles has by now opened 22 of these shelters over the past 2 years, though most of those have been in 2020, and most of them actually have been in the past couple months since the pandemic started. I looked at the results from the very first four, each of which had been open for more than a year, even at the onset of the pandemic. I contacted the service providers, and they were able to tell me that only 1 in 4 of the people who exit from those shelters exit into permanent housing. Now, this isn't because of a flaw in bridge housing, but it's just a big bottleneck that crops up over and over again in LA's homeless services system. And that's just because there's very little available housing that people who have extremely low incomes can't afford. The result is that what was pitched as temporary bridge shelter becomes something of a destination for lots of people to go as they just get stuck there because there's nowhere else to go. Now, LA is building more permanent housing, and thousands of units should be coming online over the next couple of years to alleviate that bottleneck to some extent.
You may have heard the term universal basic income. With the coronavirus still devastating large parts of our economy, some cities are now looking to pilot that concept. David can explain.
That's right. So today, Long Beach Mayor Robert Garcia announced plans to give money, no strings attached, to a select group of people in the city. And the idea here is to study the effects of a so called universal basic income. So the city would see whether people use this money to pay their rent, to get out of debt, to buy healthier food. There's not a lot of detail yet, and it could take more than a year for the city to launch this program. But it does look like Long Beach wants to follow in the footsteps of other cities like Stockton. 125 residents there have been getting $500 a month for more than a year now. Garcia told me he thinks these efforts are more important than ever because he sees the pandemic making economic inequality a lot worse. Other local mayors have expressed interest in this idea, including LA Mayor Eric Garcetti and Compton Mayor Asia Brown.
Josie was able to spend some time learning more about the life of the remarkable founder of the very popular BCD Tofu House. Hee Suk Lee died earlier this summer at the age of 61.
Isuk Lee turned a single restaurant in K-Town into this national chain, and she built her brand around a soft tofu stew called sundubu jjigae. This was a feat in that sundubu just isn't event food like Korean barbecue. This was also at a time when Korean food in general was unknown to many American palates, but BCD grew in popularity with Koreans and non-Koreans alike. In LA, that had a lot to do with its Wilshire location, which was open 24/7. That location got an early morning crew of late shift workers, college students, and club kids who started bringing their friends. And many of these folks mourned Lee after she died after a 6-year-long battle with cancer. Now, the oldest of her three sons has stepped into her shoes. Eddie Lee is a doctor, but said he wanted to carry on his mom's legacy.
Austin has been sharing his own experiences as part of our Race in LA series. He was moved to write another essay after the death of Anthony McLean, who was shot in the back by Pasadena police earlier this month.
Yeah, to be honest, far too many names of young Black people shot by police have been etched into our collective consciousness this year. It really takes an emotional toll. But when I read about the death of Anthony McLean this week, I noticed that his story struck me in a very different way. That's because there were just too many similarities to ignore. Both Black males were both 32 years old, and he was shot near Raymond Avenue in Pasadena, the same street where I work here at KPCC. Now, his story is complicated. Police say McLean had a gun, but video from the Pasadena police, as you mentioned, also shows that he was shot in the back. Investigations are still going on. But after reading his story, I started reflecting on all the ways that he could have been me. So I wrote down my thoughts and I shared them on LAist.
Well, thank you, Austin, and thank you all at the KPCC and LAist newsroom, and thank you for tuning in. Take care of your health, your neighbor, your family, and we will see you tomorrow.